Grade 10 Theory Notes. This is Module 1.6, Extended Software Concepts. Software, we're looking at instructions that are given to the computer, programs that we use on the computer that get the computer to do useful things. So we're just expanding more in software. You get standalone versus integrated software. So you could buy something like just Microsoft Word. That would be standalone. One program just for you to use. Integrated is that you're paying a single amount, but you're getting a whole lot of programs that all are part of the same package and they're going to work together. So integrated software combines all the commonly used productivity software. The interface in these programs are similar. Programs such as word processors, spreadsheet, presentation, and communication software would be available in the package. Microsoft Office is the most common productivity software. Microsoft Office would include Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook for email. OneNote is their sort of program you can use for working with your notes and stuff. We've got Google Workspace for education. That would include your Gmail, which is like Outlook in Microsoft, Google's Gmail. You've got Google Calendar here, you've got Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Meet. But if we're looking at sort of straight up comparisons, Word would be compared with Google Docs, Excel would be Google Sheets, PowerPoint would be Google Slides, Outlook would be Gmail. OneDrive is the Microsoft equivalent of Google Drive. And Microsoft Teams is the equivalent of Google Meet. Still looking at standalone versus integrated software, and we're looking at some advantages. It's sold as one integrated unit, so it's cheaper than buying each program separately. So there is a savings component, but it's only going to be cheaper if you're needing to use a whole lot of the programs. If you're only using one or two, it's going to be cheaper to buy standalone versions. Programs have similar user interface, so it's a lot easier to kind of work out what's going on, how to use the program, how to navigate around the different sort of tabs in the ribbon. It's designed for easy data exchange between the programs. It's very easy to copy a chart from Excel and paste it into PowerPoint because these programs were created to work with each other, to talk to each other. Another example of integrated software is the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. You're getting things like Photoshop, you're getting InDesign, you're getting Lightning Room, a whole lot of different programs as one unit. Licensing agreements. So when you are buying software, you do not own the software program. You buy or purchase a license to use the software under certain conditions. You have the right to use the software maybe for a year. The conditions would be listed in your end user license agreement. So the software license is referred to as the end user license agreement. You would need to click agree in order to install. Proprietary software is software that is licensed so the user may only use under certain conditions. You are going to pay for this. There's different types of licensing models. One of the most popular method at the moment is a subscription-based model. Most software companies are moving to a subscription-based model for their software. This means you pay per month for the right to use the software, but some will lock you into a year's payment. So even though they'll show you an amount per month, they'll sometimes even charge you for the entire year up front, and you can only cancel after a year. But you would pay an amount per month. Adobe Creative Cloud, Xbox Game Pass, Microsoft Office 365 are all examples of this. So there'd be a fee per month. Xbox is quite nice in that you can pay for 1 month and it's very easy to cancel and you can reactivate it a little bit later. Quite flexible. Creative Cloud is not as flexible. Single user licenses. Most software license agreements are for software purchased by individuals. And that would be referred to as a single user license agreement. So if you're buying a program to be used by individuals, someone in a home, students, you are going to be buying a single user license agreement. The software may only be installed on one computer. This type of software is generally intended for a home user. You can make a backup on a CD or DVD, but it's only intended to be used on one computer. It will only work on one computer. So if we look at this version of Office Home and Student, it is for one PC or one MacBook. An example, you may download the software on one MacBook PC. For one Mac. So this is a whole example of what you're getting. One computer, a MacBook in this particular case, fully installed versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. Files are stored in the cloud with OneDrive, compatible with this version of Mac OS X, and all languages are included. Site license. Now we're not looking at an individual license. We're looking at a site, so a company, a school. They would purchase a site license. This will allow a company an unrestricted number of installations of the software within the company. However many people work for your company are the number of people that are allowed to install that software on their computer. And generally at a company, you would have an IT department that would run the installations to verify the licensing. This is sometimes referred to as volume licensing. A site license is more expensive than a single user license, but it is cheaper than buying a single license for each computer. So instead of buying 30 individual licenses, buying a site license will save you a lot of money. You can then install this version of Microsoft Office on all PCs at the company, and everyone will get all those software programs. Software piracy. We looked at this briefly in the previous module. It's very unethical. Software piracy is defined as the illegal installation, copying, and distributing of proprietary software. So taking a version of Office 2019 and giving it to your friends for free. They're not paying Microsoft for that software. Maybe you're copying series and passing it on to other friends. That would be referred to as software piracy. Most software require online activation. So this is how companies have gotten around people making copies of their program onto disks, is you then need an online activation or registration so that they can try and reduce the number of people that are committing software piracy. It is a crime and it could result in a fine or even jail time. Free software. So we get freeware and shareware. Freeware is fully functioning software that can be used, copied without any restrictions. So that would be like something like Google Chrome. You download the program, it just works. You use it as much as you want. Mozilla Firefox is another web browser. Adobe Acrobat PDF reader, really nice for reading PDF files. Notepad++, this is a program you'll use a little bit later when we do web design. Shareware is software that stops working when the trial period is up. So they might give you a 30-day trial. For example, Adobe Creative Cloud will give you a 30-day trial. You can use the software for 30 days. It's intended to allow you to use the software before deciding if you want to purchase it. It often doesn't contain all the features of the full version. So for 30 days, you can use some of the features of the program, see if you like it, and if you do, you would then purchase the full software license to use. So freeware, the program is totally free. You can use it as much as you like. There are no restrictions. Shareware, the program is going to work. It won't have all the features and it's only for a time limit. We also get open source software. Open source software is software that may be freely used, modified, and distributed. It can be altered, but it cannot be sold. This is software for free. So if you do not want to buy Windows 10 at a cost of between 1,500 to 3,000 Rand just for Windows 10, you could buy a Linux operating system for free. When I say buy for free, you're not paying for it. You can download it for free and you can run it off your computer. If you don't want to buy Microsoft Office and you're no longer a learner at the school that I teach at, you don't have a free Microsoft account, you could buy for free. So you're just downloading it. You're not having to pay. A program like OpenOffice or LibreOffice. If you want to program and you don't want to buy something like Delphi, which is quite expensive, you could use a program like Java. The MySQL database program is free, unlike Microsoft Access, which costs money. So, what do we know about free software? Well, if we're looking at open source software that you've gotten for free, it has a source code that is available to the public or anyone that wants to use it. It allows the user to change or modify the code if need be. So you could change the code in the program. Now, that could be dangerous because it could make the program not work. But if you know what you're doing, you could actually improve the program. That could be quite nice. Advantages are that it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Since the source is available to anyone, the public can collaborate and fix bugs. So bugs could get fixed a lot quicker. Collaborators could improve the performance. They could add extra features. And often it will be a high quality software that is very well designed. Disadvantages, problem areas, could be that it's not as user friendly, especially when you're dealing with unskilled users. Could be difficult to find proper tech support. So if something's going wrong, it's not working, it keeps crashing. How do you get support for that? How do you sort out that problem? Where if you've bought a software license for a program like Microsoft Office, you are able to get tech support. It's difficult to find drivers for some devices. So if you're trying to get a particular program, like let's say OpenOffice, and you've got a word processing document there and you're wanting it to print off your printer, there might not be a driver for your printer available, and so you might not be able to print the document. Something that you would want to consider, you could be prone to viruses and other cyber attacks by using software that is open source, so you'd want to be careful. And yeah, some examples of open source software. I've got a few more here. Copyright versus Creative Commons. Copyright is a legal right to make copies, to publish and sell products. Intellectual property is a broader concept that recognizes the ownership of the person who came up with the original idea or thought. So you're not just copying something and claiming it as your own. You're not making money off it. That person who originally came up with it, they should be recognized as the owner. Creative Commons is a non-profit organization that promotes the sharing and free use of knowledge and products legally. So, system software. So this would be a software that's running on your computer, getting it to do really useful stuff. So you could have your operating system. It would also include utility programs. So we're going to look at some of the different utility programs that are included with your operating system that help your computer to run better, to perform better. One type of utility program is compression software. So it'll be a little zipped folder. It's used to make a compressed version of a file. This reduces the file size, so it will take up less space to store. It is used to reduce the size of attachments. So you need to send something to somebody over the internet. You want to try and make it as small as it can. The process of changing the compressed file back to its original size is known as unzipping. So when I compress something, I am zipping it. When I unzip it, I am changing the compressed file back to its original size. Some programs that could be used to compress files, WinZip and WinRAR. Literally, to compress a file, you are going to right-click on the file and select Save as Compressed Folder. Let's just check quickly. I don't want to open that, but if I go to my File Explorer and I find something that I would like to zip, I literally right-click and I select Send to Compressed Folder. Boom, it's zipped. To unzip something, you right-click and you say Extract All, and it will unzip that folder. Okay. Another type of utility program, backup utilities, super important. A specialist program used to ensure that your files are backed up correctly so you don't lose your work if something goes wrong. Windows provides its own backup utility, but you can also purchase backup software. Why is it important to back up your software? Files can be deleted or overwritten by accident. Files can become corrupt. Hardware such as disk drives can fail. Your hard drive can crash and not work again. Viruses or malware could be installed on the device by accident, and they could cause things like file corruptions. So it's really important to have a good backup strategy. Tips for backing up. Keep your backups in a safe place. at a different location. There's no point in having the flash drive with all your files backed up on still inserted into the computer, and there's a fire and you lose the backup and the original. So your backup needs to be stored at a different location. Make your backup on one reliable device, don't have many. I would recommend cloud storage because it's going to be stored in the cloud. It's much safer. You can't just lose it. But other types of storage devices you could use are external hard drives, external solid state drive, CD, DVD, flash drive, magnetic tape. Back up your work regularly. So, depending how important your data is, that will determine whether it's backed up daily, every single day, weekly, once a week, monthly, once a month, or yearly, once a year. Drivers. There are thousands of different makes and types of hardware devices. It's impossible for the operating system to know how to use each device. Each piece of hardware, from a flash drive to printer, is controlled by a driver. So if you plug any type of hardware in your computer, it's going to automatically start trying to install a driver software that will allow the computer to communicate with whatever you're plugging in. So, what is a driver? Software. It's a program that allows your computer to communicate with hardware or devices. So, an example, you plug a piece of hardware into the computer. So, you plug a mouse in, the computer needs to locate and install the correct driver for that mouse so that it will work on your computer. If you plug in a printer, the computer needs to install a driver, some software that will allow the computer to know what type of printer, what the model is, whether it can print A4 or A3, color, black and white, whatever it is, the driver is going to tell the computer that, and then it will allow it to work.